my name is Micaiah. Welcome to Hamlet Development Log number 11. We talked last time about advertisements, so we'll just flash the screen. We're just kind of doing the status reports. We like to do these. We are on the point 8, the 0.08 on the live branch, and the 0.10 on the beta branch. We started the log 10th on the April 15th. Seems like it's working out like clockwork every week. We're doing these on Mondays. We're kind of putting this out at past Monday morning, 1 a.m. still Monday morning. Anyway, so it's working out pretty good. So we've talked about a little bit of the Steam status reports. We're going to be talking about some coming soons. A lot of this is kind of experimental. We can talk a little bit about GitHub and where the project's going and sort of making some changes, and we still got the goal to ship. So it's just a lot of these in development, kind of not promised, coming soon. I think the development logs are really just an early preview of what's kind of working on behind the scenes, giving people an update that can follow along with that. So we kind of were working on this 0.13 on the Hamlet branch, and then upgraded that to 0.17, so we got a lot of changes in there. And then we moved it over to the game engine, which is up to the 0.08 or 0.8, or it was like had various iterations of that. Now because we're moving to GitHub now, we sort of have this new, just sort of dating the, so it's 421, so I haven't actually I made a backup of this. Anyway, so we're up on GitHub, so kind of want to show you a little bit how that works a little bit. Probably pretty, not very exciting to show, but then we're kind of still trying to get the updates to the, ship it out to Steam, and then, get that shipping. So the GitHub is right here. So this is part of the GitHub. It's a private GitHub, and then we've got the node entities branch, I believe. Yeah, and then still has the node database. Anyways, that's kind of what the branch. We're actually eliminating the node database branch and moved it into the thing. So we kind of started about 4 days ago with this. We thought it would actually be a lot harder than it turned out to be, and then we just sort of we got the initial push, and then we did some from the node beta database, I think. We merged that, and then merged that with the game engine, and then we had some metas. We changed the metas, so we kind of went through and changed a few of the meta files to try to upgrade this, and then we kind of merged that with the node database. It's sort of throughout this process we took the these two projects and sort of merged them together, and then let's see, what did we do? I just kind of did some updates here. Just every day we started pushing to the updates. So we changed some serialization, how that kind of worked a little bit, and some text. We have a survival sort of a bunch of survival from the Athos survival that were included in the game engine, but then we decided that wasn't. It was, the engine was getting too bloated. So, and then we removed the GOP as well, and then moved that into a Haven entities, and then we got that working. So, and then they're sort of right here. I think we have a little bit of just minor changes. I think with a few of the meta files change. I'm not sure. I guess they are sort of how Unity tracks. Let's see how Unity tracks files and stuff. So this one's actually for the character controller, the character controller. And did we name this to? Anyway, so it's kind of frustrating how this works. It basically stores a GUID, which is like a ID of the file, and it actually doesn't use the file name. So that becomes really frustrating. Like if you, because GitHub sort of, like that's one of the big things we work on is we have these two different file types that we're sort of looking at and the changes, and then if we delete one of them, then Unity is like, oh, you deleted the one that I was recognizing as this file, even though the exact same file name and the exact same thing they do. Unity somehow has these meta files that sort of messes that whole thing up. So UI and prefabs and a lot of that breaks because of that. So it's a little frustrating, but it's nice to actually get on GitHub and sort of have we actually had 2 or 3 iterations of games, just really smoothly. We can sort of test out these branch, like we had this node database branch. I think, where did we? Yeah, I guess we were talking about that last week, but we had this this node data branch there was a node database branch. It was sort of like it started out as sort of, hey, we're trying to fix and improve the nodes, change how they operate, and then it sort of was like but before we'd have to create this entire separate project. Took a lot of time to implement into the main back into the branch. So now with GitHub, it should be pretty a lot easier now. And we did sort of peel off the old way to do it and sort of create this separate system, which we're actually about to show in a few minutes here with this node geo. We talked a little bit in the game design video about the goal-oriented action programming. It's sort of not what this this entity system is supposed to show off here pretty soon, but yeah. And then since we're showing this, that we're showing a video to some friends and talking about the codes and stuff, so we didn't want to showcase that. But we actually have over here, I believe. This is very kind of just a separate side project. It it does a lot of interesting things. You can sort of see the same sort of. I don't think there's. Yeah, it might be actually some. If the camera goes to at 0, I think the camera will peel through. Anyway, so we sort of had this still same RTS sort of view of the world, but now we have these sort of they're entities. They're not NavMesh agents or any or GOP agents or anything like that. They're just sort of these entity components, kind of like characters, and they use the same. This is all kind of just a lot of this is just temporary testing out how the system works. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Anyway, so it's just it wasn't ready for. We implemented it into the main game, and it wasn't ready. It had some missing features. So, and then these are sort of our new trees that we're sort of. We have maybe models for the apples, and you can sort of see that they're not. They don't line up perfectly, but we can actually now pull out apples per tree, and we have these small trees. I think, yeah, we also have these small trees which have about 10 apples in them, and about these large trees which have about 20. So it doesn't always line up. As we're kind of doing little tricky things. Like sometimes you can actually get some spacing in here that's a little bit too generous in how, but it sort of gives the illusion. And maybe once we switch out to model. We probably could have switched out to model Apple models, but we kind of wanted it to be a little bit more generic. So they're kind of like berries or apples or something. Or fruit is kind of what we're calling them. Anyway, so let me explain what's going on with these characters. They have these. This is sort of quite a bit improved from last time, but you haven't seen that either. So they have this sort of cycle. We're calling it. They start out. They sleep. And then they go to, I think, work or something. Anyway, so you can just sort of, this is all based on ticks. So as they tick through this yellow, we didn't talk about this a little bit, but this bar right here is sort of signifying a 5-tick cycle, or 5 ticks per thing, sort of like a cooldown that's sort of kept separately. And then they have the health, energy, and social. And then we can actually just speed this up. Once they get through their sleep, there's 100 sleep tick cycles for their full energy. You could kind of think of this like a. I've been thinking about the. Oh, I think it's paused. I've been thinking about this a little bit like the rogue ticks. Like a rogue is every time you take a move in the game, they will actually go out and try to find. A tick will happen. Stuff will update. So anyway, so you can sort of see this is just meant to be a little nice AI simulated characters that are moving around that have these various kind of like RimWorld in some sense. The big difference is you're not going to be interacting with these on any sort of meaningful level right now. And there's a lot of this is sort of working in play. And then you actually get the social. When they sort of get close to each other, they start having friendly chats and social chats based on various things. But yeah, so that's kind of pretty much the demo I have for everybody. I know it's kind of short. Actually, and then once you can actually, let's see, we can go. Yeah, there we go. So once they actually, you burn through your energy in the game, you then have to sleep, and that's sort of in our game Hamlet. You actually have to go to to the house you own or the shack or whatever you're starting out as, but in this game they sort of, and there isn't any animations, and these characters are not, they're just sort of tiny. They're from the Poly Blacksmith, I think they are. They're just tiny people. They're just kind of cool little people that I think is great. And then you can actually, oh, I think I have to have this. You can actually select these people as well. But a lot of this is just experimental. Just say the UI, and a lot of it's, it might be. I might clean this up and make this part of a overlay UI, but it's sort of right now. It's just was meant to be. I wanted to see their energy and what they're doing. The bottom one is sort of like their messaging system of, they have a cycle of, so they'll sleep. I think we might actually change that a little bit, but essentially they'll sleep, work, relax, and socialize, and then they go back to sleep, and then they do that all over again. So, and they will interact with the market. Probably one of the next steps. Well, I think actually I might get some trees. There's a food level as well. So that's the other thing about the overlay UI. Once it comes in, you'll be able to look at that, sort of with the, I think I'm going to tie that into the other UI that I've been working on as well. So I'm not in a rush to do that side of the things. This is like programmer UI that I just need to see data and what's happening and somehow tell me. So it's like socializing. Oh yeah, so now they're in free time. And he shouldn't be, I guess he's sort of, anyway, so it's, yeah, so they have socializing, work, free, and sleep time. Anyway, so that's pretty much that. I think that was the last thing we had to show here. My cat's being kind of annoying, of course. Oh, where is it? Okay, so here we are. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. We're going to have to see how this week, it's going to take a little while. We've got the main branch, the experimental branch now, with the economy and the characters, and sort of this new, they're separate sort of characters, but that's sort of in the main branch now, and then that's working out great. And then we'll have to see how that goes. And then we're putting off dungeons for quite a bit. I know we talked a little bit about that, of various things about wanting to get dungeons. I think it was that's sort of the goal of the game, is to have this sort of town level. You can go to the dungeon, you can explore the dungeon and fight in combat, and then come back to the town level and then do things in the town. This sort of economy experiment is sort of where it's like you're getting more interactability with the town, and then we'll have to see how that interacts with the adventure mode, and you'll probably see a lot less interaction with characters on that level, where you can sort of see what they're off doing stuff, wandering around, working, various things like that. As more systems come online, it will hopefully be a lot more intuitive what they're doing, but then you'll also be able to get some data on them, probably through debug at first, and then maybe asking them or talking to them. We'll tell, we've talked, we had that AI pathfinder system. They would wander and they'd go find a node that they would work at for a while. This is sort of an increased take on that. We haven't got the job systems in yet and various things like that, but as we add more into those systems, it will be kind of cooler, and I think the player will have a lot more interactions with stuff to do. So yeah, so I want to get a lot of that up online, but I think it's sort of like, we're kind of feeling the pinch of getting behind here for a couple 3 weeks of devlogs. So we need to get this Steam out. I don't think it's crucial personally to, there's not a lot of people clamoring for this. We only have a few views on the YouTube. So it's kind of, it's mostly for me and kind of showing off what I've been doing for the week. But it's definitely, I feel like, the Steam early access is sort of, it's, a lot of people are saying, well, he's just trying to get into Steam. It's like I really do, and really want to make a game that I think is really cool, and it does take quite a while to do all that, and then too, it's like I'm, especially with the nodes, I've been going back and forth. I was thinking there was some more node here, but we've been, but yeah. Last week we talked a lot about that, of where that's going, and I think we're sort of getting to that point where it's working a lot better, but there's quite a few kinks to work out, and trying to think of what expected level I want to see. So anyway, so hopefully we'll get back to this nice little view. Oops, what happened? Yeah, the game doesn't run when it's in the but hopefully we get back to this nice little little Hamlet view here. You can still interact with the tools on the ground and have, and then this is sort of like the trees. These trees are sort of to cut down logs. This kind of does feel a little big. I don't know, it's been hard to get at the scale of the trees correct. Um, but yeah, so we'll have more of those interactions, and these are the characters, and I probably won't do the polygon blacksmiths because it's meant to be a more medieval game, but this is kind of meant to be like a nice social free. These are I think tiny people or something like that. We use this in a lot of our demos because they seem like pretty nice, and they have policemen and um, I don't think I ever showed off that survival game. Or no, I think it did make it to the channel. I had a video showcasing that. So it was the same example of it was the policeman from this tiny. So I think yeah. So hopefully you'll excuse the programming art and sort of how things are going. You can sort of still, this is the game engine in its core. It's like this idea that they have these nodes. This is meant to be like interactive of the world, and then you go offline. It should probably hide that or something, but as such, yeah. And then you can sort of zoom in. You can actually, we showed a case that you can select. Yeah, they get into this pre-action, so they need to sort of stick to a node as well. But yeah, so you can actually select things and do stuff, and yeah, so they're not. No, I guess they were wondering. Should they maybe not. Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's good enough to showcase what's been going on. So hopefully, I just appreciate everybody and thanks to everybody, and we'll see everybody next week. We'll have hopefully a much. We'll either improve this quite a bit. I think is sort of what we're going to work on for a little bit, and then we'll have to decide. How do we definitely want to ship something here in the next couple weeks, because then we got to work on some chores around the house and spring cleaning and stuff like that. So anyway, so thanks very much. I'll see everybody next week. You guys take care. There should be hopefully a game design as well. There's a couple concepts of game design. One was talking about nodes and tiles and stuff like that, but it was very visual, so it was hard to get across. And I think there was another video or two that I want to do. But anyways, we'll have to see how that goes next week, and hopefully that will be on Wednesday to Friday. But then there should be another devlog up next Monday. So you take care. Thanks for checking out my Micaiah Stevens YouTube, where we can talk about the working on Hamlet and some of the development over the week. You take care. Thanks very much.